There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers, a dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends, a place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view, but when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader. Along with me, Tim Dennis. We are your weekend getaway to the strange and unusual. And before we begin in today's Parashare and supernatural news world, Tim, I'd like to address a few things for our audience.
Uh-oh.
I thought I've covered it pretty well over the, last 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
Here's our situation. For people that are still baffled by why they're just getting 2 episodes a week,
Okay.
It's because I'm now doing a full-time Monday through Friday show called Midnight in the Desert, which is paranormal themed. Saturdays and Sundays, Tim and I continue to do Beyond the Darkness. And then every Tuesday, we deliver a brand new True Crime Tuesday. So we're working 8 days a week, Tim. 8 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Why? To show them that we love them, Tim. That's why we work 8 days a week. Putting together 8 programs for our listeners. Well, it's not fair that we have to pay, and why aren't all shows free, and blah, 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 blah. Well, listen, that's the way of the world. When you watch TV, you're paying for electricity. You're paying for cable. Well, I don't pay for cable. Well, you're probably paying for Netflix or Hulu. No, I don't. I've got an antenna. Well, you paid for the antenna. You're still paying for the electricity. I'm not trying to be a grouchy grump here, Tim. Not at all.
Okay.
And I understand people, I don't want to pay. Okay, you don't have to listen either. I can't tell you what you can do in your life, just like you can't tell Tim and I what to do in our lives. We are doing a business. We sink a lot of time into doing these programs and prepping, getting stories, finding guests, booking guests, spending time away from our families, doing interviews, editing, producing. Getting everything together for every show takes quite a bit of time. So there is an exchange. Now with Beyond the Darkness, you get Beyond the Darkness basically free. Every Saturday and Sunday, brand new episodes drop, and you can listen to them, I think, for 60 days free. And then they slip behind the paywall at Podcast One. Mm-hmm. Every Tuesday, we release a brand new True Crime Tuesday program. And yes, it's $4.99 a month to have a subscription. And as we explained, there was no room when we came to Podcast One. They didn't want true crime. They wanted us to just stick with our program for the paranormal. So they said, why don't you guys set up something on Patreon? And, we had so many listeners, so many great listeners that wanted to follow us on our true crime. They enjoyed the way we handle true crime and loved our dumb crime, stupid criminals. So we launched that page. And a lot of people came over to that. And we're still telling you should try to sign up for it right now, especially because if you sign up and you maintain your membership until December 31st, everybody signed up until December 31st is automatically entered into a drawing for $500 we're going to draw on January 1st. So we're going to give away one gift of $500 to one of our lucky subscribers, which basically pays for 10 years worth of your subscription. So we'll let you choose. You can get 10 years of free subscriptions, or you can get $500 cash, whichever you prefer. I mean, I'd prefer you take the 10 years free subscription, but I'll give you $500 in cash if you're the lucky winner. So how does that work, Tim? Pretty cool?
That's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah, I thought so, too.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. And we make our shows available every Tuesday. They're anywhere from 90 minutes to 2 hours long and a lot of fun, really interesting. And we're going to be altering some things on all the shows. We're going to be adding some new elements I hope you guys are going to enjoy. So just keep with us on this. And then Midnight in the Desert. I'm doing 5 days a week. Well, we prefer Beyond the Darkness to come back 5 days a week. Well, I understand that, but we can't live off of the income that we make off of Beyond the Darkness, unfortunately. And we get paid whether we do 2 episodes or we do 20 episodes a week. It doesn't matter. We get paid the exact same amount. So if we reduce to 2 episodes a week on Beyond the Darkness, we can bring you 2 of the best and have fun with it and do paranormal news, supernatural news, Parashare like you guys like. And then we can bring our interviews in on Saturday or on Sunday and kind of mix it up a little bit. Then Monday through Friday, you can catch me on Midnight in the Desert. It's live and free every night, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. till midnight Pacific time. And that is 11 p.m. till 2 a.m. Central time, or midnight till 3 a.m. Eastern time. But I can't stay up that late. Well, no problem. You can subscribe to that too. And when you subscribe to that for $4.99 a month, it gives you access to all of the episodes, going all the way back to Art Bell's episodes 3 years ago. So you get a lot of content there. But your $4.99 subscription price gets you all the new episodes right after they get done broadcasting live. So you get that, you get some exclusive content, you get some other cool stuff that's made available just to you as a subscriber of Midnight in the Desert. So really, all in, all told, if you spend about $10 a month, you get Beyond the Darkness, True Crime Tuesday, and Midnight in the Desert. $10 a month for 8 shows a week and a lot of great content. And remember, if you subscribe to True Crime Tuesday right now and maintain that membership through December 31st, you're also in a drawing to win $500 on January 1st. So why not take advantage of it and subscribe? Tim and I would love to just be independently millionaires and be able to just do this out of the kindness and love of our heart. We do this show because we love what we do, and we love talking to you, and we love bringing you the content that we bring. But there's still a value associated with our time and with the efforts that we put into it. And I know you guys appreciate that because you all bust your ass at your jobs and you expect to be paid in kind for the work that you do. And we're asking very little. I mean, we're asking $5 a month, and we're giving you a lot of hours in that. We're making right now $5 a month comes to $1.25 an episode, Tim, for True Crime Tuesday.
That's true. And Dave, right. I don't know if people have realized this or not, but just a short aside here. I personally have now pledged myself to the Illuminati online and went to a Jay-Z and Beyonce concert last week to try and cement that. And I can only do so much. I'm just saying. But until this all comes to fruition, this is the only way you're going to get us,
Right. So we're trying to make things, as palpable as possible.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, you get for $10 a month, basically you get Midnight in the Desert, which is 20 episodes a month, plus access to 3 years of past archives going all the way back to Art Bell on Midnight in the Desert. For an additional $5, you get access to 4 brand new episodes a month of True Crime Tuesday, plus going back 2 years into our archives for True Crime Tuesday and some special bonus features. So you get a lot of content for that $10 a month. That's it. $10 a month. Right. That is, if you wanted Tim and I to come rake your yard, it's going to cost you more than that.
Right. Yeah.
To mow your yard, I'm going to charge you $50-$60.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, yeah, I am. Maybe a lot of big yards. I'll say a big yard. If you want us to just kind of do a little yard, it's going to cost you $20.
$20 for a little yard?
Yeah, I'll do that. $20 for a little yard.
Wow.
Yeah. So see my point? I mean, for $10 a month, you get, what is this? 3 hours a night times 5. Tim, kick off your shoes. Help me out.
15.
That's 15 hours. Yeah. So that's 60 hours of programming on Midnight in the Desert. And then on average, you get around 2 hours every Saturday and Sunday. So that's another 4, 8, 12, 16 hours, Tim, right? So that's now we're up to 76 hours. And then you get another 2 hours roughly on True Crime Tuesday. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. So how much were we up there? 76? Now we're at 84 hours of entertainment a month for $10.
And if you're listening to us that much, then God love you. We should probably issue you some sort of marriage certificate.
Yeah. So please just keep those things in mind when you're trying to weigh is it worth it? You're getting 84 hours of entertainment. Go to a movie and see how much that costs you now. That's going to cost you just $10 to walk in the door and look at the marquee at this point. We're going to give you all that entertainment for $10 a month if you sign up for Midnight in the Desert. You can do that at midnightinthedesert.com. And True Crime Tuesday, if you go to darknessradio.com and just click on the True Crime Tuesday banner. So that's enough ranting. That's enough railing. But I wanted to just approach me because some people are still like, I don't understand. What's going on? Where are you guys? Why is it only 2 days an episode or a week? And why are we paying for episodes? And why is this? And why is that? Well, it's all just the way life goes, buddies. We've got a lot going on, and we've got a lot of other projects bubbling in the background. So our time is precious, and we know you understand that. And we know that you get it. And we also know that, you have a lot of options out there to listen to. And we thank you that you've chosen our show to be a part of your world. And hopefully you enjoy it enough and see the value that, we bring you on Beyond the Darkness free every weekend, and with True Crime Tuesday every Tuesday. And I think there's like 75 episodes now of True Crime Tuesday. So that's a lot of cool audio value to go back on. And then you've got 3 years of audio value to go back on with Midnight in the Desert. So please consider doing that and book it all together. Let's make it happen.
And just know, if you get everything suddenly for free, something's gone horribly, horribly wrong, and I've given up my eternal soul. Yeah. So it's all your fault at that point. So you don't want it to come to that.
No, don't.
No. Yeah.
All right.
Just saying.
Let's get started. We've got a lot of supernatural news to cover, Tim. Where shall we begin?
Well, speaking of eternal souls, Dave. Oh God, that's a horrible segue.
Yeah, not so good.
Good Lord.
But he will live on eternally for the work that he's done.
He will, yeah. We're talking about Laurentian Professor Dave, because I was educated. Michael Persinger, most famous for his God helmet, passed away this past week. Brain researcher, was a popular professor who recently ran afoul of the school's language policies. Evidently, you can't use the F word in college, Dave. I'm kidding. That's my own twist on the story. Laurentian University announced on Twitter that Dr. Michael Persinger had passed away at the age of 73 this past week. A professor of psychology at Laurentian since 1971, Persinger is perhaps best known for the development of the God helmet, a device used to study creativity, religious experiences, and the effects of stimulation of the temporal lobes. Persinger made national news headlines in 2016 when he was removed from a course by the university because of a form he had students sign warning them that they would encounter some words and language that they may find offensive. Well, maybe I wasn't far off on that F word after all. An online petition was started to reinstate Persinger, which had garnered hundreds of signatures and positive comments from students who believed he was being treated unfairly. That same year, a giant mural was painted atop Science North by French artists Ella and Peter for Up Here, depicting Persinger and Michael Corrin's God helmet on a sleeping giant. Oh, you never want to wake the sleeping giant to put a God helmet on him, Dave.
You do not.
No, it's terrible. While he was a sitting member of Laurentian Senate, Persinger's removal from the course in 2015 was not the first time he had clashed with the university's administration. In November of 2006, Persinger called the school's administration draconian and fascist. Well, that'll make friends easy. When they refused to allow a television crew to film a demonstration of his research. In February of 2007, he was asked to vacate 3 testing rooms at Laurentian's animal care facility due to a shortage of research space on the campus. At the time, Persinger's students filed a lawsuit against the university for locking them out of the research space, and he filed a grievance with the Faculty Association to remedy the situation. Despite his feuds with the Laurentian's administration over the years, Persinger has also been recognized for his teaching style. In 2007, he won a TV Ontario contest and was named the province's best lecturer. So there you go.
You'll be missed, Mr. Persinger.
Yeah.
All right, where are we off to next? Weird synchronicity, though. Let's just mention earlier this week we lost the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, on the 41st anniversary of the death of Elvis Presley. Yeah,
irony of all ironies. And in just a personal note, that was one of my favorite artists that I like to listen to, along with my stepdad, who passed away 10 years ago already.
Wow.
Yeah. So
where's time going?
Yeah, it'll be 10 years in October. So it's amazing how fast time flies. So it was a bit of a sad time this week. So yeah, we lost Aretha Franklin as well this week at 76. So we continue on. A huge furry sea monster, Dave, washes up on a beach and no one can figure out what it is. That's right, Dave. If it's huge and furry and washes up on shore, it's probably not a good thing. A massive and mysterious creature is washed up on a beach in Russia, and naturally everyone is freaking out. If it happens in Siberia, oh gosh, I can't read this next line seriously. According to the Siberian Times, Dave, a smelly, hairy sea monster. I think I dated her in college.
All right, just hold on a second, people. I'm tired of this story being circulated all over the world.
Yep.
People talking about me like I'm not even alive. Oh, sure, big and hairy. I just hadn't had a chance to shave my legs that morning, Tim and Dave. It's me, Snallygaster.
You're just assuming that it's about you.
Well, it was me. I'm telling you. I went out for a nice swim in that part of the ocean. I got a little tired. Me tentacles was worn out because I'm toting all this extra hair. It gets very cold in the water over there, boys. Let me be the first to tell you. Yeah. And I just swam up and I laid down on the shore. I was taking a nice little nap. Next thing I know, the waves is pulled out and everybody's surrounding me taking pictures. Look at the big, fat, hairy monster. And I'm looking all over. I'm like, where? I hate big, fat, hairy monsters. And then I realized they was looking at me, Tim and Dave. They was looking at me.
Siberia is a big vacation destination for Snallygasters, is it?
Well, it's a good getaway, Tim. I can get some affordable housing there. The food does not go through me. I've got some, some
digestive issues,
some issues. And when you're flying in the sky with your tentacles, you don't want dangly bits, Tim. You don't want to be spraying like an Earl Scheib as you're flying over. So I'm very, very cautious with the food that I put in me.
Right. Well, you should be cautious with anything you put in you.
The crustaceans. Right. We just talk for a second. My God.
Good stuff.
Oh, it's delish.
Do you ever start off with a nice borscht, nice base?
I used to like the borscht, but I was a big fan more of. I like the seafood out there. I like the calamari, Tim. The calamari.
That's not any type of cannibalism on your part?
No, Tim. Look at me. I'm a hippopotamus with a lion's-like head.
Okay.
I've got wings and tentacles, Tim. Tentacles.
I don't know. There's a lot going on there.
With me tentacles.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. I didn't know if maybe it was a little crossbreeding cannibalism, which, by the way, is the name of my new album.
Baiting. It's baiting, Tim. It's how I reach down me tentacles.
It's baiting?
And some big sea creature will be like, oh, I'm going to bite me a squid or something. And they come up and slappity-bappity-boopity-bing. I wraps me tentacles around them, drags them up, and I got a snack.
Are you a master at that baiting by chance?
I am. I'm a masturbator. I see what you did there.
What? Huh?
I'm out of here.
Oh.
Just remember, when you finish this story, I got feelings too, Tim. I got feelings too.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to crush your feelings there, Snally.
Tim, geez. Way to pick a scab on a very uptight fella.
Trying to get down to business there. I had Snally on the line, and I was trying to do a hard-hitting interview there.
You were hard hitting, all right.
Well, I wasn't hitting.
Coming out calling him a big, fat, hairy beast.
No. I was reading the story. According to the Siberian Times, a smelly, hairy sea monster, what it was described as, at least 3 times larger than the average human.
I can still hear you, you son of a bitch.
It's a description from the story. Turned up on the shore of the Bering Sea on the Pacific side of the Kamchatka Peninsula. Bless me. The incident was first reported by Svetlana Dyadenko, look for her by name, a witness who saw the mysterious creature and captured photos and video of the beast in a video shared on YouTube titled Kamchatka Sea Monster. He wasn't even Snally, it was a it was a Kamchatka sea monster, Dave.
Watch your language. It's a family show, Dennis.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I get a little carried away. Witnesses on the sand examined what appears to be an animal with gray and white coloring, lots of fur, and a possible tail.
It's not gray. I'm blonde.
Maybe
blonde,
you're a little.
Tim. He's telling us he's blonde.
Maybe he's a little bit older than he thinks he is. Just saying.
Wow, the look you're getting right now, Tim.
Really? Is it like daggers?
Oh, he would slap you with his tentacles if he could. He's in my bathroom shaving his tentacles right now. He's very upset that everybody's so worked up about how hairy he is.
Do you have a straight razor? Because those are some thick hairs. I'm just saying.
No, I use my Harry's razors, Tim, because they get through everything, including Snallygaster fur.
Do you have...
Damn tootin', Feel them. They're kissable smooth, Dave. Don't you like them?
Is he slapping you with his tentacles right now?
Yes, he's rubbing them all over my face like
How invasive. It's terrible.
But they are smooth, kissably smooth. I heard that.
Just don't let him into your MeUndies. That's...
Pardon me?
Well, I don't know where I was
going
there.
He's got many tentacles. I don't know how he'd fit in.
Jesus. So they're saying that it appeared to be an animal with gray and white coloring, lots of fur, and a possible tail or tentacle, but no defined head or other body parts. Oh, they weren't even looking at your face. How do you like that? You're just
I'm not surprised. People have been telling me I got a nice tail for years.
Wow. Interesting. The Siberian Times reports that Dyadenko wrote, the most interesting thing to me is that the creature is covered with tubular fur. For sure, man.
Wow, your fur is so tubular.
So tubular, man. Evidently, they're stuck in 1981 in Russia. Tubular hair, which is hollow and similar, Dave, to
similar.
They're similar to a.
I see.
Yeah, I'm stuck in California. To a fiber optic cable, according to Gizmodo, is the type found on a polar bear.
Well, how do you think I get internet up here?
Interesting.
Fiber optics, I guess.
Crossbreeding with a polar bear. Dyadenko also...
I heard that we're only good friends, me and the polar bear.
Oh, so we shouldn't call TMZ.
No.
Okay.
Not as of yet.
Dyadenko also asks if it could be an ancient creature. Oh, now they're saying you're a little old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Hold on.
Oh.
Who is this bitch writing the article? I want their address and their phone number, Tim. I'm going to have them. I'll bet yet. Why don't you call Tim Dennis at 612-48... I want them to call you, Tim. Work on my behalf for me, Tim. Let them know that they can't talk about your pal Snallygaster like this.
Snally.
What?
This is Madison Roberts of People Magazine who wrote this. You can just call people directly.
Oh, really?
Get a hold of people directly.
Roberts, the People Magazine.
Yeah. Get a hold of Madison.
Why don't you
directly.
just look up my phone number? I'm under You Can Kiss My Snallygaster Ass.
There you go.
.com.
Yeah. .com.
Let's buy that, Tim, because somebody's going to snag it if we don't.
Yeah. I'm going to buy that domain right now. Dyadenko also asked if it
Dear People Magazine, this is why I only read Us and the World Weekly Magazine.
Wonderwall Magazine?
People blows, and you can take that to the bank.
Yeah.
Sincerely, your number one fan, Snallygaster.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Well, can I get back to the show now, Snally? I've got Tim and I have got stuff to do. Fine. I'm going to go back and shave.
That's going to take a while. Yeah. Dyadenko also... Huh?
My keyboard's sticky and slimy.
Ooh, well, are you sure that's from Snally?
Pardon me?
Huh? Nothing. Dyadenko also asks if it could be an ancient creature and pleads scientists to inspect this enigma that the ocean threw at us.
Ancient creature. Wow, Snally.
He is just... Personal. Wow, he's wound up.
Pitch.
In her post, she also explained that the creature was, too heavy to be moved or dug up.
Oh,
Jesus. I know. I can hear. I know.
I just like to settle in, that's all. I'm off. I was flexed. I was in muscle man mode. You ain't getting me up till I'm ready to get up.
It's like that John Krasinski movie. I'm afraid to move right now or make a sound.
Yeah.
You would need an excavator because part of it got completely covered with sand, she wrote. God. No, please don't hurt me.
It's just...
Viewers were quick to comment.
Snallygasters they like to bury themselves in sand, Tim.
Oh, they do. Viewers were quick to comment on the post, with some suggesting it could be the remains of a woolly mammoth that had washed up as glaciers thawed.
That's it. You sons of bitch, I'm out of here. Goodbye.
Wow. Sorry, Snally. Others suggested it could be an octopus or a giant squid. Didn't stick around for that part, did you?
No, thankfully.
Despite a deep Google search, Dydenko. Well, I don't know if you've ever had your Google deeply searched before, Dave, but I had a cop do that once in the 90s, and let's just say I got out of a ticket that way. Dydenko says she turned up no results that resembled the beached mystery. One more colorful commenter suggested the carcass could be that of a globster.
I love that song by the B-52s.
Yes.
Rock Lobster.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't think we can get sued
for
my rendition, as it sounds nothing like anything that resembles music.
But you could get sued for slaughtering it, which I believe is a human rights violation. A term the Siberian Times reports was coined in 1962 to identify a Tasmanian carcass. So globster is also short for Tasmanian carcass with no visible eyes, no defined head, and no apparent bone structure. I noticed Snally has looked a lot like he's been in for facial reconstruction cosmetic surgery. So I didn't want to talk about it. It might be why he's hanging out that area, Tim. That could be.
Avoiding the paparazzi.
I see. Well, that is pretty far away from most paparazzo, many scientists believe globsters are not their own beings, but rather decaying parts of sea mammals. Oh, God, it's a good thing Snally left. Scientist Sergei Kornev seemed to share this theory. He told the outlet that it's part of a large sea creature, such as a whale or shark. Oh, God. Good thing Snally left. Under the influence of the sea, time, and various animals from the smallest to the largest, a whale often takes on bizarre forms, Kornev said. This is only a part of a whale, not a whole one. Well, thank God for that. And that's the name of that tune.
All right. We're done?
We're done with that one.
All right. Where are we off to next?
Talking about sleep paralysis, Dave, the terrifying condition which leaves people pinned to their bed with links to the paranormal. You, too, can blame that rolling into work late on sleep paralysis, much like I do every Saturday. No, I'm kidding. It is a terrifying experience many people suffer during the night, and it has been blamed on the paranormal in centuries gone by. The NHS defines sleep paralysis as being completely aware of your surroundings, but temporarily being unable to move or talk, and it often feels like there is a ghostly presence at work. It can affect people of all ages, but is common in teenagers and young adults, according to the Liverpool Echo. I don't know if you get that on your doorstep at 5 a.m. every morning, Dave, but it's an excellent paper. During an episode of sleep paralysis, a person can move or speak as the body is temporarily paralyzed, and one of the main symptoms reported by sufferers is the feeling of being held down against their will. According to superstitious folklore, the feeling is caused by a visit of a witch known as the old hag or night hag. I have pictures of us at the high school prom. The creature, described as a goblin or demon, is sighted by various people while in sleep paralysis and sits on the chest of a person, holding them down. In Old English, a creature of such type was known as a mare or mare, a mythological demon or goblin who torments others with frightening dreams, which to this day is why we have the term nightmare. Experts have urged sleepers to keep their windows open during the night. Wendy Willits from Liverpool suffers with sleep paralysis and believes it does link to the paranormal world. She said, "We moved from our previous house because my sleep paralysis episodes were getting ridiculous. And then the final straw was the result of me being pulled off my bed by my ankles and out of the room during an episode."
What? What? That does not sound like sleep paralysis at all. That sounds like demonic infestation.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I think.
Or a date at the Harvey Weinstein home.
Well, just saying. If you're pulled out of the hotel room and onto a set, you're Harvey Weinstein. Once on the landing and in light, I managed to let out a scream, and this was witnessed by two people who came to help me, and both said they heard a loud thud and dragging sounds coming from my room. The witness went on to say, "It is a terrifying thing, sleep paralysis, and while some believe there's no link to the paranormal, I believe differently," she went on to say. Most ghostly encounters, people report having the sensation that someone is there with them or something is in the room with them. And in some cases, people feel that this presence wishes to harm them. However, health professionals describe such feelings as hallucinations, the apparent perception of something not present, a common symptom of sleep paralysis. The NHS, says the phenomenon happens when...
All right there, Grandpa, having another nip of your elixir while you're doing the show?
I don't know. I think an alien's trying to come up through my stomach. The NHS says the phenomenon happens when Parts. You said you weren't going to do it for a month.
What?
Last show.
What?
You said you weren't going to do it for a month.
Do what?
What you just did.
What?
Phenomenon. See?
What?
You did it.
What?
Phenomenon.
Residual.
See?
It's what?
You did it again.
You're crazy.
Phenomenon.
Obviously, you're hearing things, Tim. You should have this looked into.
Phenomenon. Liar!
What?
You did it again.
You can't blame me for the thoughts in my head, Tim.
Uh-huh. The NHL.
Phenomena. Phenomena. Oh, for God's sake. Phenomena. Thank you, Snally. You're the only one who understands. I got you back, Dave.
You got it out now?
I think so.
Okay. The NHS says the phenomenon happens when parts of rapid eye movement, or REM, not the band, occur while you're awake. On the NHS website, it says REM is a band that broke up and a stage of sleep when the brain is very active, and dreams often occur. And during this stage, the body is unable to move, apart from the eyes and muscles used in breathing, possibly to stop you acting out your dreams and hurting yourself. During an episode of sleep paralysis, you may find it difficult to take deep breaths, as if your chest is being crushed or restricted, and find it difficult to move your eyes. Some people can also open their eyes, but others find they can't. Other symptoms also include the sensation that there's someone or something in the room with you, a hallucination. Many people feel this presence wishes to harm them and can feel very frightened. On its website, the NHS lists the common causes of sleep paralysis as not getting enough sleep, irregular sleeping patterns, the condition narcolepsy, or sleeping on your back. But as frightening as the experience is, health professionals say it is not harmful, and after it passes, the person will be able to move and speak as normal. There you go.
Well, that's an upside, I guess. Remember, we want to hear the voices from beyond, your stories. We'll feature them on upcoming episodes of Beyond the Darkness. How do you do it? Very simply, pick up your phone and give us a call, 651-300-4977. You can tell us your paranormal encounters with any kind of paranormal phenomena. You can leave that phone call at 651-300-4977. That's 651-300-4977. Whether you are dealing with ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, psychic phenomena, anything, just give us a call, 651-300-4977. We want to hear your stories. And you can record up to a 3-minute message. That's a whole lot of message going on. And we'll feature that on an upcoming episode, 651-300-4977.
Boy, a month passes so quickly, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. Where are we off to next in the world of supernatural news, Mr. Dennis?
We head to New Mexico to a compound where a boy has died in a religious ritual. I'll get that out.
No.
Yeah. 2 other children were being trained to attack schools, law enforcement, and banks. This, according to prosecutors. Yeah. The young boy whose remains were found at a compound in New Mexico died in a religious ritual conducted because his father believed he was possessed by demons. This, according to prosecutors. The boy's remains were discovered August 6th after Taos County authorities raided the ramshackle compound near Amalia, where they found 5 adults and 11 children, ages 1 to 15, at least 2 of them, whom prosecutors said Monday were being trained to attack schools, banks, and other institutions. The boy hasn't officially been identified, but Siraj Wahaj, a well-known imam at the Al-Taqwa Mosque in Brooklyn, New York, has said that the child was his grandson, Abdul Ghani Wahaj. Abdul Ghani, who would have turned 4 last week, disappeared from his home in Georgia in December. A nationwide search eventually led authorities to the compound in Taos, which was set up by the imam's son, Siraj ibn Wahaj, who's 40 years old, who authorities allege had kidnapped his son. At a detention hearing for the younger Wahaj and 4 other adults on Monday, prosecutor John Lovelace indicated that the remains were those of Abdul Ghani, saying that the death occurred in February during a ritual intended to cast out demonic spirits from Abdul Ghani Wahaj. Prosecutors said the other children were told that Abdul Ghani would be resurrected as Jesus and would identify corrupt institutions and people for them to attack: teachers, military, and law enforcement officials and financial institutions. The children were given tactical training on how to clear rooms and how to shoot firearms, this according to prosecutors. Prosecutors said that Wahaj and a second man arrested at the compound, Lucas Allen Morton, and his brother-in-law were heavily armed, and that they were taken into custody, and that some of the children were carrying ammunition. All of the adults were charged with 11 counts of child abuse. Wahaj is also charged with interfering with the parents' custodial rights, while Morton is also charged with harboring a fugitive. Bond was set at $20,000 apiece. Taos County Sheriff Jerry Hogriff testified that an AR-style rifle, a 5-shot Smith & Wesson revolver, a 9mm Kimber semi-automatic pistol, a 9mm Glock pistol, and body armor were found at the scene. In a 100-foot-long tunnel on the property, authorities found a .308-style sniper rifle, a .30-30 lever-action rifle, and another Glock, he said. Hogriff agreed with the defense's argument that it would be prudent to teach teenagers how to use firearms safely in the remote desert, but he said one of the boys at the compound who was found with a holster told investigators that Siraj explicitly ordered him to arm up during a raid. Or during the raid, not a raid, but the raid that was conducted on the compound. FBI agent Travis Taylor testified that one of the children said the family ended up in New Mexico because they believed that they had received a message from God. They started traveling west after Wahaj returned from a visit to Saudi Arabia last year and told his wife that he wanted a divorce. Court documents say Abdul Ghani struggled with seizures and hypoxic ischemia, encephalopathy, a birth defect caused by lack of oxygen and blood flow. Taylor said one of the other children told investigators that Abdul Ghani was possessed by demons and that the suspects believed he was dead and was able to walk only because the demons kept him alive. That's a bizarre belief. They believed that when the last demon was exorcised, Abdul Ghani would come back as Jesus, Taylor said. Initially, the firearms practice was intended only to train the children to defend the compound from the government. Taylor quoted one of the children as having said, "Eventually, however, the plan changed to one of preaching to others and kidnapping or killing them if they didn't accept the message." In urging 8th District Judge Sarah Backus to hold the defendants without bond, Lovelace warned that they were capable of future violent actions, alleging that they were in the thrall of magical thinking, that, in quotes, this family was on a mission, and it was a violent one, and it was a dangerous one, he went on to say.
Yikes. Yeah. Did you mention how much bond they're keeping them on?
I believe I did. It was $20,000 apiece.
$20,000 apiece. We mentioned this on True Crime Tuesday, but I want people to realize this. Now, the judge is under a lot of heat because of this. We reported on True Crime Tuesday a story where a guy went into a McDonald's, or it was a fast food place. I don't remember if they specifically said McDonald's, but he went in and had a water cup and began filling it with soda. He was eventually arrested and is being held on $50,000 bond.
Yes.
This compound murdered a child to rid him of demons, taught other children to kill. He kidnapped. He has been neglectful and doing hateful things with children and teaching them to shoot up schools and government centers. And he's out on $20,000. A guy went in and took soda from a soda machine in a water cup and as a $50,000 bond. Just let that marinate in your head, America and the rest of the world. Just let that marinate in your head a little bit. Our justice system is so and that's all I got to say about it, Tim.
Are you trying to communicate to somebody in Morse code?
Okay. Kind of was. Oh, okay. Not gonna lie. Just very frustrating.
Just curious.
Very frustrating, Aunt B. Very frustrating. Where are we off to next?
Well, we go to a story where, and actually it's in Mississippi, where 45 years after an alleged UFO encounter, a Mississippi man is breaking his silence. It was an event he has been reluctant to speak about, yet it shaped much of his life. Calvin Parker, now of Moss Point, along with friend Charles Hickson, claimed they were abducted by aliens while fishing on the Pascagoula River. And now Parker has written a book he hopes will set the record straight. Pascagoula, The Closest Encounter, My Story, was recently published. It contains a first full account of the event given by Parker, along with how it affected his life. It includes photos, documents, and newspaper articles written through the years. It also marks the first time a transcription of a hypnosis session with Parker has been published. Parker hopes it will clear the air on the incident. It was October 11th of 1973, Parker said. We'd gotten off work that day, and a friend of mine, he and I went fishing. The old abandoned shipyard, they had a little pier out front, and we were on that pier. I'm going to guess it was about 6 o'clock in the evening. It had started getting dark, but it was kind of a bright moon. Parker said he noticed blue light reflecting off the water, and his initial thought was law enforcement officers had arrived to tell the two fishermen they needed to leave the property. However, when Parker looked up, he realized the light was coming from a craft like nothing he'd ever seen. A big light came out of the clouds, Parker said. It was a blinding light. It was hard to tell with the light so bright, but it looked like it was shaped like a football. I would say, just estimating, it was about 80 foot. It made very little sound. It was just a hissing noise. Then the situation became more surreal. Parker said 3 legless creatures floated from the craft. One had no neck with gray wrinkled skin. Another had a neck and appeared more feminine. Parker described their hands as being shaped like mittens or crab claws. When one of the creatures put one of its claws around his arm, Parker said he was terrified, but then another feeling came over his body. I think they injected us with something to calm us down, Parker said. I was kind of numb and went along with the program. Parker said the creatures floated he and Hickson into the craft and performed physical examinations on the two. Then they were taken back to the bank of the river. Parker said he didn't want to tell anyone what had happened, but Hickson convinced him otherwise. The two contacted Keesler Air Force Base, but were told they should just call local authorities. So they contacted the Jackson County Sheriff's Office. According to Parker, the two passed sobriety tests as well as polygraph tests, and Parker said he also passed a voice stress test. The ordeal seemed like it was over, but for Parker, it was just beginning. The news spread worldwide, and according to news reports, Hickson didn't shy away from the attention. Parker, on the other hand, didn't want it. In the years that followed, he said he changed jobs and relocated to other towns. When people realized who he was, it was just something that he didn't want to discuss. I've been going through this for 45 years this October, Parker said. I never talked about it, nor did I want to talk about it. I have very few friends, but they're true friends. They never asked about it, and I never talked about it. My family never talks about it, he went on to say. After decades of largely not discussing the event, Parker began to change his mind after attending a funeral where he came into contact with people he'd not seen in many years, and he felt they focused more attention on him than the deceased. I signed the registry at the funeral, and people recognized the name, Parker said. Out of respect for the family, I just left. My wife told me on the way home, you need to write about it. Parker considered what happened at the funeral, the years of speculation about what happened that night on the river, and his health, and eventually he agreed. I feel like everyone deserved an explanation, Parker said. Everyone has an expiration date, and I wanted to get this out there before I die, he went on to say. I've had some near-death experiences, and I'm in bad health. I just wanted to do it. For Parker, the book is likely a weight lifted off his shoulders. For friends, family, and others interested in his side of the story, it should be enlightening. However, Parker said there are some questions that may never be answered. I catch myself going fishing at night and look up and wonder where they came from and how far did they travel and why they had to get me, he went on to say. Parker's book can be found at Amazon.com.
That's fascinating. He might be a guest coming up on one of our 2 shows, so keep watching for that as well. All right, where are we off to next, sir?
Well, the earliest known Egyptian mummy is found, Dave. I didn't know they were lost, but they're found. He moves back the start of the embalming practice about 1,500 years, according to historians. He was probably in his 20s and died nearly 6,000 years ago in Egypt. Beyond that, not much is known about the mystery man, except that he has helped scientists rewrite the book on mummification. Say that 10 times fast. Chemical analysis reveals that whoever buried him also embalmed him, and that pushes back the start of the mummification process about 1,500 years, reports Live Science. What's more is the recipe used to preserve the man is similar to the one that was in use about 2,500 years later when the likes of King Tut and other pharaohs were laid to rest, that according to National Geographic. The basic recipe, if you're keeping score at home, per the BBC, is a plant oil such as sesame oil, a balsam-type plant or root extract, a plant-based gum or sugar, and tree resin, which helps ward off bacteria. Until now, we've not had a prehistoric mummy that has actually demonstrated so perfectly through the chemistry the origins of what would become the iconic mummification that we all know about, said archaeologist Stephen Buckley of the University of York. The mummy was discovered about a century ago and has been in the Egyptian Museum of Turin. It proved to be a perfect specimen to test because, crucially, no conservation efforts were ever used on it over the years. Live Science notes one interesting aspect of the dates involved. The man's death predated writing, meaning the formula for embalming had likely been passed down verbally from generation to generation.
All right. How many more stories do we have, sir?
Looks like we got about 6.
Wow, really? We got a lot. All right. Where are we off to now? Where are we off to next?
Your favorite state, Dave, Florida.
Oh, God. What?
Yeah.
Okay. What's going on in Florida?
Well, it's an algae bloom, Dave, but it's prompting us. Yeah.
I'm sure it's beautiful.
Well, no.
Yeah.
No,
what?
No. It's
no?
not
beautiful.
Beautiful is not the word for it, Dave. It kills in the water, and it's like tear gas on land. It's
what?
It's an algae bloom that's prompting a state of emergency. It's not a beautiful algae bloom. It's more like a deadly one. Under increasing pressure to handle Florida's brutal red tide, you may insert whatever jokes you want to insert here, and I use insert not lightly. A toxic algae bloom kills hordes of marine animals and is causing respiratory issues for some people. Governor Rick Scott made the call late Monday as he declared a state of emergency in 7 counties along the state's southwestern coast, setting aside $1 million for cleanups, animal rescues, and research, plus another $500,000 to promote tourism. So come on down and see the red tide, Dave. That's
killing you when you swim in it and breathe it in.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough PR punch. I'm not going to lie. Just more proof Florida wants us dead, Tim.
Yeah. Mickey likes you to look at the red tide. That's what Governor Scott's saying. Travelers aren't exactly drawn to the 267 tons of dead fish, eels, manatees, turtles, and dolphins, and even a whale shark, although they're fun to play with.
Hot damn, sounds like a buffet. I'm taking off. See ya, fellas.
Bye, Snally.
Wow.
They've all washed ashore in the state this year per courts. We will continue to deploy all state resources and do everything possible to make sure that the Gulf Coast residents are safe and area businesses can recover, Governor Scott said in a statement.
Governor?
Governor.
Is he the Recovener?
Well, you try saying that 10 times fast. I bet you can't.
Refuse. You can't make me.
It came after Senator Bill Nelson faulted Scott, who's seeking the Democrats' Senate seat in November, and after thousands joined hands on Florida's beaches, oh, that's cute, to raise awareness about the Carina brevis algae bloom, per the Washington Post. Such blooms have been documented since the 1840s and usually last about 5 months. This one has persisted for 10. It's twice the amount of time if you're doing your math, per Newsweek, making it the longest running in more than a decade. Algae toxins can become airborne, and some people are experiencing mild respiratory issues as a result. It's like being hit with a tear gas, one researcher put it to CNN, with the Post describing burning eyes and throats. CNN reports a toddler had to visit the emergency room with upper airway inflammation linked to the algae on his first day vacationing in the state.
Yikes. I don't think I'll be visiting Florida anytime soon.
Yeah.
All right. What else is going? Oh, can I mention something completely off the beaten track?
Sure.
If you don't mind.
Go ahead.
if I could be so bold.
Go ahead.
Tim, Tim, I don't know if you're aware of this, Tim. Tim. Steve Perry is back. When he should have been gone, now he's back with another song. When he used to be gone.
It's about time. It's only been like 30 years.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah.
He's got a brand new album coming out.
Yeah.
October 5th. It's called Traces. You can find information at steveperry.com. Am I related? Am I a friend of Steve Perry's? No.
You getting kickbacks?
No. I wish, but no, isn't that exciting? I can actually, I sent my wife and my sister-in-law to go see Def Leppard and Journey with Cheap Trick. And I was stumped by the fact that Journey was the big band for the night. It's basically like a cover band at this point.
Well, they got a nice, talented lead singer. He sounds like
who's
Steve
like a
Perry.
Filipino karaoke
No, he's a big-time dude now.
singer.
Yeah,
I know, but he's not Steve Perry. They haven't released an album in 972 years.
Not true. They did. I'm
looking right out here. 972.
No. They had
I'm in a good album.
No. They had a brand new album out just I think a year or two ago.
But all they did was they followed Steve Perry around, and when he was like at McDonald's, he's like, "I'd like a Big Mac, a side of fries, throw in a shake, and I'll be right back." And they're like, "Make a song out of it."
No.
They were recording from inside, and they were just using his clips. Tim, I'm pretty sure.
No, that's not what they did, Dave. No.
Yeah, pretty sure.
Nah.
Anyway, Steve Perry's back, so I'm excited about that. I decided to throw it out there.
Yeah. Well, it is exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah.
Knowing how I made you feel and all. All right, where are we off to next?
All right.
That strange rejoinder was brought to you by Steve Perry's new album, Traces.
Wow. Just gave him like a minute of network.
Coming out October 5th.
Russia made very troubling development in space. We might call it "Oops, I crapped my pants," but it's not.
What?
No, I don't know. To me, that's a very troubling development in space. If you're
pooping your pants in space,
that's a troubling development. A State Department official shares a U.S. concern that at a UN conference on Tuesday. Her title is a long one. The U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Arms Control, Verification, and Compliance. That's the title. And on Tuesday, Yelene Poblete sounded an alarm, bringing before a UN conference a matter related to outer space that is of great concern to my government and that relates to space security. Her comments initially centered around Russia and its history of moves in pursuit of the development and deployment of anti-satellite weapons. Before getting specific, she's concerned about Russia's launch of an inspector satellite that has acted abnormally. An excerpt of her comments are this. In October, the Russian Ministry of Defense deployed a space object they claimed was a space apparatus inspector. But its behavior on orbit
was... nothing for you to worry about. It's just the space apparatus inspector, my friend. Just pass the vodka and let's get back to partying like it's 1979.
Right. But its behavior on orbit was inconsistent with anything seen before from...
It's drunk. Don't even pay attention. It had a little too much drink before we shot into space, Tim. Why such the big worry?
Well, because it's a machine. It doesn't get drunk.
It does get drunk. Everybody gets drunk, Tim. Come on.
But its behavior on orbit was inconsistent with anything seen from on-orbit inspection or space situational awareness capabilities.
That's baloney, I say. It's everything in Russia looks like the little wibbly wobbly. It's just like, oh, look at us, good time fun. We don't have to follow a certain pattern or nothing. We're just we're partying all the time.
We are concerned with what appears to be very abnormal behavior. We don't know for certain what it is, and there's no way to verify it, but Russian intentions with respect to the satellite are unclear and are obviously a very troubling development.
Puritan socialist pigs.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Reuters reports that a Russian delegate in attendance brushed off Poblete's remarks, calling them the same unfounded slanderous accusations based on suspicions on suppositions and so on. At Jalopnik, Jason Torchinsky writes that we not only don't know much about the satellite, he couldn't even find a likely candidate based on his review of October 2017 launches, though he outlines why the Cosmos 2523 may be the one. As far as what it's up to, has it inspected non-Russian satellites? That's the question. Is it a test of satellite killer systems designed to cripple an enemy's orbital assets? That's the question as well. All we do really know is that Cosmos 2523 has made the U.S. State Department sufficiently nervous to make the alarming statements they made. The Washington Times reports Poblete pushed the UN to hold out for a tougher version of the Treaty on the Prevention of the Placement of Weapons in Outer Space, a Chinese-Russian treaty that exists in draft form and aims to keep the weapon systems out of space, although Poblete asserts the draft version is flawed in that it doesn't allow for international inspectors. A research assistant, or rather analyst, with the Royal United Services Institute flagged the timing of it all, pointing to the BBC that Poblete's comments come on the heels of President Trump's Space Force announcement. The narrative coming from the U.S. is that space was really peaceful. Now look at what the Russians and Chinese are doing, ignoring the fact that the U.S. has developed its own capabilities. And in other Russia-U.S. news, Reuters on Wednesday reported that the U.S. will up its count of Marines stationed in Norway from 330 to 700, with the plan being to station some of them near decision relates to training needs. Russia called it a clearly unfriendly move.
Well, why is everybody harshing our gig? We just put up a little satellite that's dancing in the sky to make everyone happy, because what is better than to see machinery dancing in a pleasant way? But no, Americans all up in arms. Screw you! Russians are very sensitive about their wibbly-wobbly dancing machines, Tim.
That they are.
All right, where are we off to next, sir?
Well, Dave, we head off over the pond, over yonder, over that place where we can't pronounce names. It turns out that ghost hunters are stirrupping some spirits of horses. Get it? Stirrupping the spirit of a horse at a 19th century castle. Yeah, I know. Since restoration of, I can't pronounce this name. I'm going to give you the spelling because you've been there and I haven't, and you tell me how you'd say it. Gwrych.
Greenwich.
It is?
Why not? Sounds good to me. Let's go with Greenwich.
I would say it's... All right. Sure. Greenwich. They're going to scare us both. Since restoration of Greenwich Castle began in 2014, there have been numerous strange sightings. Paranormal investigators claim to have encountered a ghost horse at the North Wales Castle. Afterlife Paranormal spent 2 nights at, Greenwich Castle, we'll go with that, at, what is Abergele? These people don't know how to...
I don't even know if that's an actual word. Say that again.
Abergele. These people in Wales don't know how to...
They got to speak that English.
Yeah, the Welsh don't know English. You know that? They just don't. I'm just going to quit saying place names for Welsh places. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say that place, dem, dat, and does. That's what I'm going to say in this story from now on. In a bid to find out if former residents of the 19th century building still haunt the grounds, the team, who are based in Stoke and consists of Mark Levatt Harris, Sean Kenna, Sean Owen, Tracy Quate, and medium Helen Lawson, invited the Daily Post along to find out if there really are supernatural beings at the Grade 1 listed building. Since restoration work began in 2014, there have been numerous strange sightings, including a ghostly woman dressed in white floating in the air, much like all castles. The castle was built by Lloyd Hesketh Bamford Hesketh, Hesketh between 1812 and 1822, later passed to the Earl of Dundonald, by marriage to the Bamford Hesketh heiress Winifred, the Countess of Dundonald, who is believed to be the woman in white that you see in the castle. Armed with a range of ghost hunting equipment, including spirit boxes, cameras, and recorders, it didn't take too long for the Afterlife Paranormal team to stumble across some strange goings-on. Mr. Owen told how he was walking in an area where his believed stables were once housed when he heard a peculiar noise, which he managed to capture on video. He said, I heard some groans on the first night. Oh, we all have, yeah. When he heard a few things, actually. I was filming and heard a great sound. It was a horse breathing through its nose. That was fantastic, he went on to say. Holy cow! I don't know. Mr. Kenna added, what was compelling about it was that it was where the stables used to be, but the mysterious horse noise wasn't the only spooky thing that happened on the investigation. Medium Ms. Lawson told how she encountered the spirit of a woman in the gardens close to the Countess of Dundonald's writing room. She also felt the presence of a spirit looking out the window of the main castle building. Shortly afterwards, a strange flashing light was spotted coming from the walkway towards the stables, but it seems that there was no logical explanation for it. Ms. Lawson said, I picked up on lots in the garden area. I felt a feminine energy, which I feel would have been the Countess. I felt a beautiful energy. I don't think there was any part of the castle that felt flat. There seemed to be activity everywhere. It's not the first time that paranormal activity has been recorded near the stables. Last year, another ghost hunting group, Paradox Paranormal, claimed to capture a ghost saying it was happy about renovations that were being made to the castle. Mr. Owen said, what we are trying to do is we're not trying to say it is paranormal. We're just putting it out there that this is what we have got. We're going to debunk it as much as we can, but so far things we got are very difficult to debunk. Earlier this year, the castle was bought by that word, Dave Greenwich, did you say? Castle Preservation Trust, with the help of the National Heritage Memorial Fund and the Richard Broyd Charitable Trust. The Preservation Trust plans to restore the castle and safeguard it for the future. So there you go. We move on.
Please do.
Yeah, let's just move on, shall we? Let's move on. A driver has spotted Bigfoot walking across a rural highway, which brings up the age-old question, Dave, why did Bigfoot cross a road?
Because KFC was on the other side where the chicken was hanging out.
Exactly.
They used to be good friends. They went to college together. I don't know if you know that.
They did, and they got their PhDs together as well. A mysterious Bigfoot-like creature was spotted crossing an upstate highway half a mile from where a similar-looking beast was sighted 12 years ago. This, an investigator told the New York Post on Monday. A driver was headed to Vermont, which is nice this time of year, at around 10:10 p.m. Tuesday when he witnessed the 6-foot upright walking ape stepping over a guardrail along Route 4 in Whitehall, said Paul Bartholomew, an investigator and author specializing in Sasquatch encounters. He was stunned. His jaw just dropped open, said Bartholomew. But this is actually a very typical type of sighting. The witness, who was asked not to be named due to possible ridicule, which is a new one, described the creature to Bartholomew as black and hairy with 2 legs, wide shoulders, and a small neck. Oh, that's no way to talk about Bigfoot. I mean, come on. Don't call him a pencil neck geek. It's just,
it kind of sounds like they're going after.
It kind of does. Sightings of Sasquatch crossing a road are the most common upstate and usually reported in August and September because that is Bigfoot travel season. I don't know if you know that or not, Dave.
I think it's mating season.
Is it? Mm-hmm. It says whether it's a migration, I'm not sure, but there's a real consistency with the reports. People will be driving at night and they'll describe seeing the same thing, he said. A forest road is the most likely a place for a person to have the opportunity to see the creature. A similar ape-like animal was reported half a mile away in September of 2006. Hundreds more sightings have been reported in the area over the years, he said. On Tuesday, the driver wasn't able to snap a photo of the beast because it happened too quickly, he said. The animal left no footprint due to the rugged terrain. Bartholomew and some scientists believe the animal may be a descendant of an ancient southern ape. Who listens to Leonard Skinner, by the way, and drinks Jack Daniels on his porch?
Y'all.
Y'all. There's a rich history here, Bartholomew said. I'm trying to do my best Southern New York accent. In the 70s, this was a taboo, but the subject is gaining traction. Last month, the village of Whitehall announced Bigfoot as its official animal. So there you go.
Yeah. That's nice. At least he's got an official title now.
Well, he does, yeah.
Yeah, Snally. Snally does not.
No.
Let's not bring that up, though.
No, he's very
fishy. Yeah.
Especially after the Siberian thing.
Yep. All right, where are we off to next?
Finally, we go to the world of NASCAR, where Dale Earnhardt Jr. says a ghost saved his life, but Bigfoot isn't real. He's a discerning paranormalist. Well,
Son of a bitch. What?
Yep.
Go on.
Yep. During his podcast this week, the retired racing star and his guests were discussing a fan's question about paranormal activity, because paranormal and NASCAR go hand in hand, Dave. I don't know if you know that. But when Earnhardt revealed that he thinks we're so much more than just blood vessels and bones and muscle, y'all. And I feel like it's quite possible that in certain situations when we die, our bodies die, that maybe there's a spirit capable of continuing on, Earnhardt Jr. espoused, which is a bigger word than most NASCAR fans can muster. Earnhardt went on to reveal that he's convinced that he was once saved from a fiery wreck by a ghost. He said, when I wrecked in the Corvette in 2004 at Sonoma, it caught fire. Somebody pulled me out of that car, and I thought that it was a corner worker because I felt somebody put their hands under my armpits and pull me out of the car, Earnhardt said. I didn't get out. I don't have any memory of myself climbing out of the car. I remember sort of moving, like in motion, like going to lean forward and trying to climb out of the car, and then something grabbed me under the armpits, pulled me up over the door bars.
Hey, now, god dang diddly dong do, who got a hold of me? Some of the actual audio. From the crash. Yeah. It's hotter than a widow's peak up in here. Somebody get me out.
Where's my Mountain Dew? And then let go of me, and I fell to the ground, he went on to say. He just fell to the ground then. Video of the incident from the American Le Mans Series sports car race clearly shows Earnhardt getting out of the car by himself before emergency crews could get to him. So much for being lifted.
I done told you it was one of them there spirits that lifted me up out that vehicle.
Thank you, Boomhauer. Earnhardt.
It'd be more like,
Hank, they done lifted me out the vehicle.
Earnhardt suffered second-degree burns in the fire, and when he woke up at the hospital after 12-hour morphine-assisted sleep, I go through one of those every night, and it's been a rough life, and asked who helped him out of the car and was told by a member of his team that he had gotten himself out, he recalled saying,
"Well, now, Dale, you done pulled yourself out." Was that?
Yep.
Went down?
Dale, you pulled yourself out.
Gosh darn it, Dale.
Gosh darn it, Dale. He recalled saying, and pardon my language, Grandma, he said, bullshit.
What?
Yep.
Listen, NASCAR boy, there's a lot of people paying attention to you. You're a role model.
Yep. That was his quote.
Well, gosh dang it all, diddly doo doo bing ding ling dang doo. I done seen a spirit.
No, something up my knees.
Hurt near plucked me out of my car and put me back on the road to righteousness.
Get on that car there, and then in my spirit, you're going to get on my armpit and get my car there.
When Earnhardt is open to the existence of an afterlife, he also said he doesn't think Bigfoot exists, at least not anymore, Dave. But that he is guilty of watching TV programs about people searching for it. He's big into that. I'm probably not going to find out first on the show. Probably going to be a headline on national news that they found this guy. But I still watch the shows, he said. He's entertained and I've got hiccups. There you go.
That's it. We will take a break. When we come back, it's time for you to shine. We've got a couple of phone calls. We've got some emails right here on Parashare.
Beyond the darkness.
Welcome back to the show. This is Beyond the Darkness, your home for the best in paranormal talk radio, Saturdays and Sundays. And this is a part of the show we call Parashare, Tim. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a part where people share their parish.
Oh, good. I need some fruit. Yeah, I'm a little bound
not pears,
up.
Tim. Paras. Paras.
Okay.
They're paranormal experiences. They can call in at 651-300-4977 and leave us a voicemail. Now, I do have to point out, folks, there are a few of you that have shared your stories with us on voicemail.
Yes.
But it at the 3-minute mark, it hangs up on you, and you don't call back and leave the rest of the story, so we haven't been able to use your story. So if you get disconnected, call back and finish a story. Tim will do some creative editing.
Mm-hmm.
But try to keep the stories to about 3 minutes long if you could. If it's a long one, just make a couple of marks that you know you're going to have to leave 2 or 3 messages for us. And just say message 1 and then leave your message and then message 2 so we know and Tim can piece them together. 651-300-4977. 651-300-4977. That's the way to call our messages from beyond. Phone line. That's the number. 651-300-4977 for our messages from beyond. Beyond.
We could probably use a few more subscribers at True Crime Tuesday. I need to update the effects budget.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, subscribe now to True Crime Tuesday, and you're going to be entered into a drawing to win $500. 500. Is it $500? We're really giving away $500?
It's not my money.
Well, it is our money, actually. We're going to be giving away our money.
It is, yeah.
So here's what you do. If you want to win $500, subscribe right now and maintain your membership to True Crime Tuesday. Everybody that's already subscribed and continues to maintain that membership, and everybody that subscribes now, and you keep your membership until December 31st, 2018 and beyond, hopefully, we will put you automatically into a drawing on January 1st. January 1st or 2nd. It'll be right around in there, depending on when the holiday falls. We'll do a drawing, and one lucky listener will win $500. How about them apples, Tim?
That's pretty nice, yeah.
How do you do it? Go to darknessradio.com, click on the True Crime Tuesday banner, and that's it. That's the best way to subscribe. All right, Tim, let's get to some of these stories. Oh, this is one of my all-type favorites. It's just one giant paragraph from Emily. Thanks, Emily. Hi, Dave and Tim. I wrote you in a little while ago, and you read my story, so I thought I'd share the next one. Let me tell these stories whose stories don't get read until they eventually they need to be patient.
Huh?
I don't know.
How did they
long
go?
Sentences with no punctuation and no paragraphation, Tim.
Oh, cool.
Hi, Dave and Tim.
Hi.
I wrote you in a little while ago, and you read my story, so I thought I'd share the next one.
Okay.
Let this tell anyone whose stories don't get read. They will eventually. They just need to be patient.
Yeah.
My story was the creepy one with the woman holding the door closed, and when Dave said he'd rather be out of the doors than in the doors. Since you got so scared and creeped out by the last one, I thought I'd try to creep you out again. This story happened about 2 years ago, after the last one. But this was even scarier.
Uh-oh.
All right. Do you have some generic sound effects? Since this isn't really a day we do Theater of the Mind, Tim, I'd just like you to... I want you to pull out your best Michael Winslow from Police Academy.
Like Dougie Fresh says, make the music with your mouth.
That's right. And I want to hear your best sound effects as I try to read this all in one take.
I want
people to realize how hard this is to do it in one take.
Okay,
are we ready?
Let's try it. Let's give it a shot.
I like to think of myself as... Oh, sorry, I already screwed up, Tim. Let's start over, shall we?
Sure.
See just how hard it is, Tim. Just you got to stumble a few times so they realize this is no cakewalk.
Right.
I like to think of this as my first encounter with pure evil. Creeped out yet? Anyway, my parents built the house they currently live in when I was 9, and there was one room in the house that always creeped me and my siblings out. We called it the pink room, since the carpet was pink.
I don't know.
I know, kind of corny.
I don't know any Pink songs to sing in the background.
No, that's okay. Really? All right.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of corny, but I was 9. Give me a break. I slept in the blue room with my brother, so named because of the blue carpet, of course. My younger sister slept in the pink room, but they didn't stay in there for long because they started complaining of nightmares every night.
No!
My parents credited their nightmares to the fact that their room was right by the front door, and their window faced it. And that was why they were creeped out, which, of course, was part of it. But that wasn't the real problem. They tried to get my sisters to sleep in there, but nothing they did worked. And my sisters ended up sleeping with my parents every night until my mom got frustrated and forced me to switch rooms with them. I didn't think much about it at the time because my mom said if I slept in there, I would get my own room, being the oldest. I was excited to have my own room, and I jumped at the chance. It wasn't long after I moved in, however, that I started having recurring nightmares. I still think about them. In the nightmare, I was running through the woods, looking for my brother who was screaming for me to help him.
Help me!
I would search and search, but couldn't find him, just hear him screaming.
Help me!
And by the time I found him, he was dropped into a pit of wild dogs who ripped him apart. Sounds like a pit of Lhasa Apsos, Tim.
Or Chihuahua was one of the other.
Yeah, it could be.
Effects budget.
I found out he had dropped into a pit of wild dogs who ripped him apart, and I would scream and wake up. I know, morbid, right? This dream continued for months, and I would wake up terrified every time, but being the stubborn child I was, I refused to leave the room, since I wanted to keep my own room. My sister told me about her dream, which was similar to mine, except it was our cousin who was killed, and my sister was trying to save him, and needless to say, this didn't help my anxiety. My nightmare continued for about 6 months. I don't know why I felt I had to hit every letter of that word, but I did, Tim. 6 months.
You stuck the landing there, buddy.
When things took a turn for the worst. I went to sleep expecting my usual dream, and it started the same as it usually does. But this time, when I started running, I came to a pond where I stood on the bank, looking, trying to figure out where I was. It was then that a dark figure emerged from the pond and rose out of it, forming into, as best as I can describe, a witch. You know, the usual big nose, pointy hat, but I could sense the evil emanating from her. Kind of sounds like Elmo with constipation, Tim. I'm not going to lie.
That's all I got.
I tried to run when she cast a spell on me, freezing me in place, and then began laughing.
Elmo says no!
She tortured me for hours, and the pain was excruciating. I struggled for an eternity. When I finally woke up, but to my horror, I still couldn't move. I tried to move my arms and legs, but nothing worked. So I guess you call this sleep paralysis, if you can call it that, when you're awake. I struggled to try and move, but only for a few seconds, and then could move my eyes to look around, but no other part of my body would move. I struggled until I felt that presence again and looked over to see the woman standing in my room. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. And she started laughing again. The sound sent chills down my spine, making my desperation to get free even more frantic. She just stood there, staring at me for 15 minutes. The entire time I was struggling to speak, to say something, to get one of my family members to come help me. Finally, I managed to whisper, "Mom." What? Very quiet. What word are you whispering? Okay. And then the woman disappeared, taking the paralysis with her. I gasped and screamed for my mom as I ran down the hall and jumped in bed with her. I gasped and screamed for my mom as I ran down the hall and jumped in bed with her. Creak.
Creak!
I refused to stay there anymore, but the only room available was the unfinished room in the basement.
So many theme
with
rooms.
A bed in it, which I moved into the next day. I'd rather take a dark, damp basement than that creepy-ass pink room with a demonic witch in it any day. It wasn't long after that my dad finished the room for me, as he made a deal. If I stayed down there for a week, he would do it, and I stayed down there until I graduated high school. I showed him.
Yeah.
Not long after I moved out of that room, my parents made my brother, who was 2 at the time, sleep in there since he was too young to argue. It wasn't long after, however, that he started having the nightmares and started sleeping on my mom and dad's floor to get away from it. He was scared of ghosts following him and clung to me as if his life depended on it. I didn't really think about it when I was younger, as I thought it was annoying, like younger siblings usually are. My parents just dealt with it until one day my mom and I were doing lawn work, and my brother came running out of the house telling us he just saw Jesus.
Wait,
that was
lawn work.
artistic choice there, Tim. Say it.
Hello, my son.
No, that's Jesus, the lawn guy, Tim. This was Jesus. Needless to say, my mom had had enough, and the house was blessed, which solved all the problems, and my brother stayed in that room until he graduated high school. So all was well. Well, I know how much you love it, but this story is getting so long, I'll save the next one for later. Thanks for reading my stories. Keep up the great work. You guys are awesome. Sincerely, Emily from, I apparently don't know how to make paragraphs, Salt Lake City, Utah. Emily, just paragraph it. Try paragraphs. Break it up from time to time.
Right.
Just give me a paragraph or two.
Yeah.
But it was a great story nonetheless. I hope you enjoyed today's special effects, brought to you by Dave Schrader, defense attorney at law.
Call him now for a 25% discount if you're having problems with your lawnmower, if Jesus shows up at your house, or if a witch is haunting your pink room.
Gents, if you read this story, please do not say my name or my email address or my last name.
Okay, Bart Sears at
no, it's not
gmail.com.
What do you, he just said don't give his name.
Oh, sorry, Bart Sears at gmail.com.
In my father's old house in Buffalo, New York area. He just moved out a few months back. Where he lived and I lived at various points for about 16 years, we had an interesting spirit. My father, he is a serial marrier, currently on marriage number 5, moved in there with his 4th wife in the year 2000. Year 2000! She had a very young daughter who spoke frequently of communicating with beings on a different plane of existence. In our old house, she would talk and walk about seeing a spirit that looked just like my grandpa, who had passed away 6 years before she was even born. A nice old lady that she had a friendly relationship with, and a scary woman that would be mean to her. Shortly after moving into the house, she began talking of the scary man in dark clothes. A few months later, my wife, Michelle, told us about the same man that she had seen. She explained that she was at the bottom of the stairs. They come from upstairs where the bedrooms are to the living room, and caught a glimpse of a figure out of the corner of her eye. When she looked up the steps, it didn't immediately register her that what she had seen until she had walked a few more steps past. Certain she was just imagining something, she went back to look, only to find a large man in a long leather duster jacket wearing a large brimmed hat with a terrifying scowl on his face coming down the stairs towards her. She shrieked, and the man seemed to move right through her. He was menacing, but did not actually harm her physically. He was just being mean and aggressive with his movements. As quickly as it happened, he was gone. She and her daughter both spoke of dealings with him for the years that they lived there. In 2008, my dad and his 4th wife divorced. In early 2010, my father's 5th wife, girlfriend at the time, moved into that house. My dad and I were out shopping one night before Christmas. When we came home, she, Kathy, was in hysterics. She said that when she was at the bottom of the steps, she looked up and saw someone. She went upstairs and ran right into this figure that terrified her. When she saw him, he looked at her for a moment and then turned around and vanished.
Whoa.
I asked, was he a large man with a menacing scowl, wearing a long black trench coat and a big rimmed hat? Her mouth fell slack.
What is that?
It's the sound of a jaw just kind of hanging slack. She absolutely could not believe that I had hit the description so well. The man would mess with her almost any time she was home by herself. He would touch her lower back while she was in the shower. He would make noises and cause visual scares. He never again showed himself to her completely, but she could instinctively feel that he was the same benevolent spirit causing all of these issues. One night when a friend of hers was over and sleeping on our couch, she said that she woke up in the middle of the night and saw this man just inches from her face. She said it felt like she was having a great deal of trouble breathing, and that Although he did not seem to physically be touching her, she couldn't move or make any noise or anything. When I asked her what he looked like, she gave me the very same physical description. She was nearly in tears just talking about it. The oddest part? This, in my mind, is the fact that no male has ever reported seeing him or even having had any experiences with him in any way, shape, or form. We seem to only attack females and would only do so when they were by themselves and vulnerable. What do you think this thing was? Was it the Hat Man, or was it just a shadow person who happened to be wearing a big hat? Potato, potato. Could it have been a distant occupant of the house who just did not like women? What gives? I would love to hear your response. Thanks. And that's from a guy we can't say his name.
Yeah, we can't give it away. Yeah.
Ed. We'll just call him Ed.
Yeah.
Ed, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what it was. I mean, obviously, it kind of sounds Shadow Man-y, man-like.
Oh, I like Shadow Manny. That's good.
Yeah. Shadow and Hat Manny.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Fix it? Yes, we can. Shadow Manny.
Dave and Tim,
Hi.
Kings of the Paranormal Radio. That's how this one starts, Tim.
Wow.
I've been catching up on your show after the holidays. I was listening to the Luke 8:48 episode, and it reminded me of a couple stories I wanted to share of God or angels talking to me and just keeping your eyes and ears open for their communications. Your guest was talking about how angels like to communicate via license plates, and it gave me a tingle. When I was dating my wife, we had been talking about the future, and I was debating on buying an engagement ring to ask her to marry me. One night after a date, I was driving to work and was stopped at a stoplight. Sitting at that light, I was talking to God in my vehicle, asking if she was the one I was supposed to be with and should marry. At that exact moment I asked that question, I looked up and noticed the vehicle in front of me had a license plate that said, yes. In Iowa at that time, the plate numbers were 3 numbers, a space, and 3 letters. Those letters are what said yes. I immediately knew the answer to my question and had no doubts after. Obviously, the answer was yes. Story number 2. My wife had just surprised me that she was pregnant. Surprise!
Oh.
A few days later, while driving, I was wondering if it would be a boy or a girl. After getting to my destination, I got out of my vehicle, happened to notice a pink sticker in the grass. I walked over to it, and the sticker said, "It's the girl." I had to stop and get a picture. Eventually, we found out from the doctors that it was indeed, Tim,
A girl?
a girl.
Wow.
My third and final story. I was driving at night and was coming up to a curve on a divided highway. I just happened to be looking down for something in my center console. As I was looking down, I heard a voice in my head that said, "Get over in the right lane." So I looked back to make sure no vehicles were in that lane and looked forward towards the road. And at that moment, a vehicle on the wrong side of the divide, traveling at a very high rate of speed, went zipping past me in the lane I was just in only seconds ago. A moment later, on the other side of that divide, police cars with lights and sirens went flying by. The guy who had just passed on the wrong side of the road was leading the police on a high-speed chase and eventually crashed his vehicle into a lake. If I wouldn't have heard that voice in my head telling me to move over, I'm pretty sure I would have been seriously injured, if not killed, due to the head-on collision I narrowly avoided by changing lanes. That's all for now, and that comes from Chad in Iowa. Iowa, Tim! Iowa!
Been there, stayed there, have the souvenir shirt from it.
Give us a call. Leave a message from beyond. You can do that by calling us at 651-300-4977, 651-300-4977, and we may play your story just like this one.
Hi, my name is Donna. I have been a paranormal investigator for over 30 years, and I finally saw my first apparition as I was going down a side road to come to my home. It was a soldier in full uniform, and he had a big dog next to him. And they were just standing there, and I waving, and I stopped to see the dog, and I turned around. They were gone. And that is my paranormal investigation site. That's my first apparition that I've ever saw. And it was very exciting and, chills up the spine. It was great. So I hope you use this one, and good luck with everybody else. Thank you.
Hey, this is your buddy Chris from Arlington, Virginia. I grew up in Hawaii, and all of my friends there were Japanese, Chinese, Filipino, Hawaiian, Tongan, Samoan. And so we all believed in Madame Pele. We believed the goddess of fire. We believed in Menehunis, little people, and all these other things. It was very pagan, and all other types of religions like Buddhism and etc. So my buddy James Chen, his grandmother was Buddhist, and she used to have a really close relationship with with the deceased members of his family, and his grandmother used to always talk about being completely in relationship with the people in the past, the historical elders, the deceased in the family. They had a little place to pray, and they honored the deceased, and there was a very porous membrane. When he was in his room, he used to hear a party next door, a real passionate party of the clinking of glasses and the eating of food and chatting from the neighbors, and used to keep him up at night. And one night he looked outside his window at where he thought the party was going to be, where he heard all the partying people, and the room was dark. And so he was freaked out because he heard all these people right nearby, and there was nobody nearby. So he started praying to Jesus Christ. He started doing an Our Father. He started doing a Hail Mary. I went to an all-boys Catholic school in Hawaii. And all of a sudden, all the sounds went away. The party stopped out of thin air. In the morning, it was a very awkward breakfast, he told me, because his grandmother, mind you, we live in Hawaii, and there's multi-generational houses where great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, children, and grandchildren all live together. His grandmother was PO'd because halfway through her party with the deceased elders and all the people in her spiritual world disappeared spontaneously, and she blamed it completely on my buddy James for invoking Christ and scaring all of her friends away. So that's one of many paranormal-ish stories that I have from growing up in Hawaii and having an Irish Catholic witchy mother and grandmother. But I'll let you go now, and thank you, Tim. Thank you, Dave, for being awesome. I love you guys in the weekends.
Hi, I'd like to just have a surname of Sassy here. I don't want to give my real name out, but I've been around the paranormal ever since I was born. I've had so many encounters. There was a demon living in my closet as a child. The door opened up by itself, woke me up. I looked in, and I saw a dark figure move. I heard a growl, saw two red eyes. So I know that was real, even though my parents never did believe me. A murder and suicide happened in the house. That's why it's haunted. I call her the mother of the house because I never did know her name, but she looked after me. She would open and door closes all the time. Her son is still there too as well, her youngest son. He would always play pranks on us. I feel that the other two older sons left. They accepted their death, but the younger son didn't accept his death, and that's why he's still there, and the mother is still there looking after her youngest. After I've moved, my parents have even called me saying that they were hearing music from my room when I had no stereos in there. Both of them had called me on several occasions saying that they thought that the other one went to bed with them, and they turned over to snuggle with them, and no one was there. my new place now here, something has been following me. My smoke detector has gone off in a Morse code way, which is weird. My cat has been acting funny. I've had to bless my place twice. I've had to go to a priest to get blessed. I've been scratched twice. I've been hearing knocks. So, yeah, there's a lot that's been going around in my life. Mom even told me that as an infant, a light bulb shattered around my crib, but all the glass was around my crib, not a single piece on me. She said that was so weird, and I just looked her in the eyes, and I knew what was going on. I said it was the mother of the house that saved me. I've experienced a lot. I've heard a lot, felt a lot. Things have followed me home.
So make sure to be a part of our show every week by calling our Messages from Beyond hotline, 651-300-4977, 651-300-4977, and leave us up to a 3-minute story of your real-life encounters with paranormal. Strange stories, funny stories, scary stories, heartwarming stories. We want to hear them all, no matter whether it's cryptids, UFOs, anal probing, ghosts, whatever you've got, share them with Tim and I. We want to hear all about your anal probing ghosts. You can email me, dave@darknessradio.com, and share those stories as well. And we may feature them in an upcoming episode, just like this one. Dave, I'm a huge fan of the show. I live about... I don't see Tim in here anywhere. Nope, just Dave. Dave, I'm a huge fan of the show. I live about 80 miles southwest of St. Louis and unfortunately can't get the show live where I'm at, but I do listen to the podcasts on your Darkness Radio app. I've had a couple of Ouija board stories that I personally experienced that I would like to share. About 30 years ago, when I was 17, I bought a Ouija board from a nationally known toy store, Tim. One where a kid could be a kid until this year.
Good luck on that.
Unceremoniously closed down. And they're no longer a place where a kid can be a kid, Tim. I didn't want to grow up, Tim. I wanted to be a Toys R Us kid for the rest of my life.
Didn't we?
Because there's a million Toys R Us that I could play with.
Yep.
From trucks and trains to video games. It was the greatest toy store there is. I don't want to grow up, but maybe if I did, I want to be a Toys R Us kid. And they're gone, Tim. But I digress. About 30 years ago, when I was 17, I bought a Ouija board from a nationally known store. I was actually skeptical of the whole concept of the board and pretty much bought it as a joke to be able to tell my friends that it was all a bunch of crap. Boy, was I wrong. The first times I used the board, I was with my best friend Greg, and the experiences were fairly uneventful, Tim. Sure, the planchette moved around and spelled things out when we asked the board questions, but we both thought the other one was moving it. Then came the night that changed our opinion of it entirely. Unlike the first times we used the board, this time we were at my house, in my bedroom, sitting on the bed. As we began asking questions, the planchette moved faster and faster and was going absolutely crazy. One of us asked the spirit if it was upset with our fingers still on it. It went to yes, with a lot of speed and eerie accuracy. As it started moving around again, one of us asked if it was upset. It went to H, then A, then T. We asked if it was mad about a hat, and it once again shot straight to yes. Ghosts fucking hate hats, Tim. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Really? Hats.
Apparently.
Yeah, really? Huh.
Then it started moving all over the board again, confused, especially since neither one of us was wearing a hat. We asked why it was mad about a hat. With our fingers still on it, the planchette continued to quickly move all over the board, still trying to figure out why hat was supposedly upsetting this thing. I happened to look across the room and saw a hat I rarely wore hanging from the mirror above my dresser. I then said, "Are you upset about my hat on the mirror?" The planchette shot straight to yes, with unbelievable determination. I still didn't understand why it would be so upset about a ball cap. My friend Greg had his back to where the hat was hanging. With the planchette once again moving all over the board, he turned around to look at the hat. When he turned back to face me, he was white as a sheet. The hat was a Los Angeles Dodgers ball cap. In a soft, shaky voice, he said, Los Angeles? Do you know what Los Angeles means? Naive as I was, I had no idea. I shook my head, and then Greg said, City of Angels. That thing went to yes so fast, it nearly came out from under our fingers. Apparently, whoever or whatever we were communicating with did not care for my City of Angels hat. That abruptly ended that night of playing with the Ouija board. Problem solved. It was just a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, Tim, letting him know that he's really pissed about that move still.
Should have never left Bensonhurst.
That's true. Yep. That's what they tell us.
Yep.
Hi, Dave and Tim. This one just is all written in big letters and big fonts, so I'm going to go all cheery on this one.
Hi.
I've had paranormal experiences of one kind or another my entire life. I've felt things, known things, seen things. It's just a normal part of life for me. Ever since I can remember, I've been obsessed with history and historical places, especially the energy that I feel when I visit these places. Luckily for me, I live just outside of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Tim.
Oh, what?
Baton Rouge.
Where?
Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Where?
Baton Rouge. Batonrouge. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
Baton Rouge.
Oh, that's got to be in Wales.
Yeah. So we have no short of places for me to explore. My mom and I usually tour a different plantation house each year for my birthday. And of course, it's Louisiana, so there are reportedly haunted houses everywhere. I even spent the afternoon of my 16th birthday touring the Myrtles many years ago. New Orleans, especially the French Quarter, is another of my favorite places. I can feel the history there. The energy, amazing and addicting. This year, we decided to visit the French Quarter for lunch and window shopping. I had to have surgery for a bone infection in my tibia a couple of years ago and haven't been able to go back to the quarter with all the walking it requires. I've really missed it, and finally am walking well enough that I felt I was ready. When in New Orleans, I wanted to visit Bloody Mary's Haunted Museum. I know it's about dark history, but I didn't think much of it. I've experienced other haunted places and have felt strong energy that tends to make me feel dizzy or gives me a headache, but nothing I have ever been unable to handle. But this place, I've never felt anything like it in my life. It hit the moment I stepped in the shop. My head felt full. I couldn't have walked a straight line if my life depended on it. I was dizzy. I felt the pressure in my head building so strong that I might melt through the floor. That's the best way I can describe it. I never made it to the actual museum. Being as affected as I was about that negative energy in the gift shop. There was just no way I was going upstairs. Immediately upon leaving, I felt the weight start to lift off, but it took several blocks for me to feel safe. Like the darkness wasn't following. I wasn't fully back to normal for a couple of days, if I'm truly honest about it. I've had a lot of experiences recently. I've almost felt more sensitive to everything than I used to be. I don't know if it's me, or maybe I'm just paying more attention to it. It's been almost 8 years since my brother passed away, and I've been focusing on sharing stories about his afterlife interactions with our family and slowly working on putting it into a book to share with other grieving families. So maybe that has me noticing it all even more. Whatever it is, Bloody Mary's Haunted Museum in New Orleans has definitely left me with an experience I'll never forget. On the drive home, we may or may not have had another experience. It's probably nothing more than matrixing, but it still had me nearly stopping dead in the middle of I-10. Thankfully, there wasn't any traffic at the time. While driving, I glanced up and saw a face looking at me from the clouds. I managed to get a picture of it on my phone, but didn't really expect it would show up in the photo. I was sure it was all just my imagination and the leftover energy from the museum just affecting me. But it was still very visible. When I checked it the night after we got home, I'm going to include a picture of that in case you want to see it, whether it's an angel watching over us, a spirit saying hello, or just some seriously crazy clouds. Whatever it is, I'm sure it brought a memorable end to a very strange birthday. Thank you for taking your time to read my story. Sorry for how long it is. Cat. You like that one, Tim? A little bit more bubbly. My character's name was Cat.
That was so happy.
Yeah, I tried. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. And now, Tim.
Yes.
Drum roll, please. Our final story of the day. Dear Dave and Tim, a few years ago, my wife and I were seeing to the care of my elderly aunt. Her health had been declining for about a year, and we helped her move into a nice nursing home not far from us. We were able to visit her on a daily basis and see that all her needs were properly cared for. We had hoped she would stay with us, but my wife's health was not good enough for her to take care of that burden, even with my help. My aunt had required hospitalization several times while in the nursing home, and one afternoon we got a call that she'd been sent to the local hospital. We went to visit and found her in intensive care on oxygen therapy. She was unresponsive. We stayed with her most of the evening, and seeing that she was receiving all the help medical science could provide, we came home for the night. About 4 a.m, we were suddenly awakened by an unusually loud and strange owl hooting outside our bedroom window. I turned to my wife and said, "Do you suppose that might be some sort of omen?" She replied, "It certainly does sound strange. We had never heard any owls in our neighborhood before." About 10 minutes after we heard the owl call, the phone rang. It was the hospital calling to tell us my aunt had passed. We were stunned. We had heard tales from Native American lore about an owl call his name as a harbinger of death, but we never expected to experience such a thing. We know this was just one incident and most likely a coincidence, but we still find it eerie. We both enjoy listening to Beyond the Darkness and wish you continued success. Sincerely, William and Sarah Ballard from Colonial Heights, Virginia. Thank you, William and Sarah. Great story.
Yeah, thank you both.
I mean, it's sad that your aunt died. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like, woo, great story about the death of your aunt. I'm just saying it was a great story to have that owl kind of, ooh, and then to have that feeling of, I wonder if that's an omen, and boom, it was an omen.
Yeah.
That's pretty remarkable.
Yep.
Well, that's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow. Got a great interview lined up for you. A brand new Theater of the Mind. As a matter of fact, this is a sequel, Theater of the Mind, in a sense, Tim. Last week, we heard from Jay Giuliano, who shared his angel encounters. This week, we hear from his wife, who tells us her own encounter. That's in Theater of the Mind on the best in paranormal talk radio. I'm Dave, that's Tim, and this is Beyond the Darkness.